Hello, welcome to this week's Talking Film, your ultimate catch-up movie news service. I'm Daniel, and we have Nick on the other side, and we're going to talk about some movie news today. So let's get straight into it with only one news item to talk about this week, which is very disappointing. I think it's the worst week we've ever had, but luckily for Fox, they gave us something to talk about this week. So The Fault in Our Stars director Josh Boone will co-write and direct the X-Men spin-off The New Mutants, making this one of 5 upcoming X-Men films to look forward to. Nick, what do you think?
I did briefly hear about this, but this is kind of big news. I think this is kind of the direction that Fox wants to go with X-Men after Hugh Jackman announced he was leaving Wolverine after Wolverine 3. So they need to basically change everything up. They need to everything has to start again. Basically a huge reboot. That's what they have to do, and they have to think about it in the long term now. So they don't cast old people. They're going to cast children between the age of 8 and 10 as all these mutants, and then they'll keep them in those roles for the next 87 years.
Okay, so you're thinking it's going to be a complete reboot of the X-Men universe?
Yes.
Join the X-Men universe, but focus on them younger, or a completely new set of mutants.
Yeah. I think it'll be like a Spider-Man reboot. They're doing for X-Men what the upcoming Spider-Man reboot will do for Spider-Man.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I think. I'm not sure. What do you think?
Because we still have Deadpool and Gambit, and we don't know where those two are going to line up. If they're going to be with the X-Men universe, or they're going to be like their own standalone universe films, one-off thing. So I don't know where them two are going to lie. And then we've got Apocalypse and Wolverine 3, which are obviously joined to the original X-Men universe. So I don't know, and I don't know any mutants. I don't know who's in the New Mutants. So I know we don't
start talking about that.
Yeah, I know it's probably going to be a complete new lineup that we probably don't know, because it's not going to have Wolverine or Deadpool or anything like that. So
it won't have Wolverine, even though Wolverine's their biggest selling point. They can't recast Wolverine so soon. But it's interesting. It's interesting that they're doing this, though, because you're right. They are having Deadpool and Gambit coming up and stuff. And it makes me wonder if they're going to do something kind of like what they did with Days of Future Past and combine the good movies timeline and get rid of the old movies timeline. So they rewrote it so it all worked out really nicely at the end. But that would be much more complicated. It's not like they can just erase the past again or whatever and start fresh, or I don't know, have some huge sci-fi calamity happen where Wolverine dies and Professor X dies again, and I don't know. They're pretty much, they've either got to kill off all the characters who aren't returning, or they have to start fresh.
I don't think if you're thinking if the New Mutants is like a completely new X-Men universe, I don't think they're gonna replace or rewrite the old universe like it never happened, because that would be very dissatisfying to the fans.
That would be so dissatisfying. But you know, these studios have done worse than that in the past, so I wouldn't be surprised.
But I think they've picked a good director. Not sure about if I don't really think The Fallen Stars really transitions to a superhero film, but The Fallen Stars was really well directed. So for that, they have it's just I don't really know the director's vision yet. He hasn't stamped a vision towards his films yet. So I'm interested. The Fallen Stars was a really well done movie. I just don't know if he can transition to superhero films.
I haven't seen The Fault in Our Stars, but they really can't help but draw comparisons to Marvel Studios here. They're taking a director that's really just starting out. It's not going to cost very much to hire. hasn't really played in the genre before. So,
well, yeah,
can
and again, he will have the team.
really guided. They're hiring. These superhero cinematic universes. They're hiring actors like a TV show would, which they hired some directors for some episodes just to film a script, and then bye-bye, unless their film is. The only difference is if their film is really well received, they'll keep them on for the sequel. That seems to be the trend. Whereas in TV, you can have a much loved episode, like great episode of TV, and then like you'll never see that director on that show again. He'll move on to a different show. But yeah, it's interesting. I can't. You can easily be negative about it. I feel like you can easily be negative about it and cynical that they're doing this way. But you know, you can be positive. You're being positive, so let's give it the benefit of the doubt.
Well, then again, just like the Marvel Studios, I'm sure they have Fox's producers and the X-Men team supporting the director to help him. Just as much as like Mark Webb, he had he came from an indie film to Spider-Man, and the team helped him out with the visual effects and that. And look how the Amazing Spider-Man 1 turned out. Not too much about the second one, but that's another story. So I think it's a good
Spider-Man 1 is. Not universally loved like Spider-Man 2. Anyway, I think Spider-Man 2 is the only universally loved Spider-Man out of 5 films.
Okay. Well, that's it for news. So thank you for tuning in to Talking Film this week. I'm joking. We've got some questions, thankfully. So let's just
stay
move
tuned,
on to them.
Don't listen to him. We just lost like 5 viewers because they thought we were ending. It's not funny.
Okay. Jokes aside, our first filmaholic question: do you think Ant-Man, another obscure superhero movie to the general public, will do as well as Guardians of the Galaxy in terms of box office?
We should just preface this like entire episode of Talking Film as the Marvel episode. So because we're basically just talking about Marvel movies the whole episode. So hopefully, seeing as they do make a lot of money worldwide and that they do have a very big following, you enjoy talking about Marvel movies and listening to people talking about Marvel movies, because that's pretty much all we're going to be doing for the next half hour. So Ant-Man will have a chance. What was the question? Sorry, can you read it again?
Do you think Ant-Man, another obscure superhero movie to the general public, will do as well as Guardians of the Galaxy in terms of the box office?
Well written. I couldn't emulate that. I knew the question. I just couldn't word it properly. Anyway, do you want to go first for this one? What do you think? We have very differing opinions on Ant-Man at the moment.
It's going to do well. Don't think it's going to do like as great as Guardians of the Galaxy did in terms of box office. I don't see it making 300 million. So I really think that's out of the cards.
At domestic,
I think Ant-Man could squeeze in. I think Ant-Man will make about 200 million, just depending on, since the post Avengers, like Captain America and Thor, both had under $200 million grosses for their first film, and it went over $200 million for their sequels. So they had the Avengers bump. And now the Marvel brand is strong as ever, and the cinematic universe is as popular as ever. I think Ant-Man will likely will make $200 million domestically, and potentially, I think, about $500 to $600 million worldwide. But don't think it's going to get the $780 million Guardians of the Galaxy made. So I'm thinking along maybe $550 million worldwide. Just because the trailers have been, for me, they haven't really been like hitting me as much as Guardians of the Galaxy did, as much as the Avengers trailers did, or even Captain America and Thor: Dark World. And I really don't know. I didn't thought Guardians of the Galaxy, the public liked the trailer, and obviously they did to turn out such big crowds for that film. So I'm thinking 200 million domestically, 550 worldwide. That's what I'm thinking. My likely opinion is.
I think the key difference between Ant-Man and Guardians of the Galaxy is the marketing. They did go for a very different take with that first trailer. When you compare the first trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy to the first trailer for Ant-Man, they're so different in tone. Ant-Man is a comedy, and you can tell that from the second trailer, but you couldn't really from the first. There's like one or two lines that were a bit quippy, but other than that, it was very serious and very seriously toned. The first Avengers trailer was all serious. For Avengers Age of Ultron, I mean. Age of Ultron, the first one was all serious. The movie didn't turn out that way, but it was all serious and got the hype going. But Ant-Man just introducing a new character, the comedic trailer works. That's what happened with Guardians of the Galaxy. These new characters were introduced. Oh, these guys seem like fun and I want to see more of them, you know, so they go see the movie. That's why Guardians of the Galaxy worked. So I agree with you for that first trailer, but I think that it really does sell the type of movie we're going to get very well. We've got the comedy in it, the action, everything we expect from a Marvel movie. We know this is going to be a Marvel movie. So I think if the people see that second trailer, they're going to have more incentive to see Ant-Man. So that second trailer would have boosted audience numbers, I think, rather than what you think, which is just not exciting at all. But as for actual gross, not as much as Guardians, no way. Surprise me.
It'll make 400 and it'll beat the Avengers.
Okay. Highest grossing film of all time, beating Titanic and Avatar.
Such high hope. So then your opinion is, yes, it will beat Guardians of the Galaxy, and it'll beat all the other superhero universes and every movie ever made. So support Ant-Man, everybody. Hashtag
everybody go see Ant-Man. I think it's going to be great. I have high hopes.
Okay, radio. The next question. Following up on last week's cast announcements for Captain America Civil War, which superheroes do you think will be on each side? Captain America's or Tony Stark's? And why?
This is a good question. Oh, it's an exciting question. I've never actually really thought about this question. But obviously this could take up a half an hour discussion. But okay, so obviously War Machine has to be on Stark's, surely.
Yeah, but surely. Unless there's a fallout between the two.
Yeah, unless there's a fallout. You'd think War Machine would be on Tony Stark's. There is just
War Machine is sort of like Iron Man, so it'd be good if it was on the Captain America side.
Yeah, he could be as well. If given the ending of Avengers Age of Ultron, I'm not going to ruin anything, but I'm not going to spoil anything blatantly here. But the way the Avengers Age of Ultron ended, I could see him being on Cap's side, but I think he has to be. I think it just doesn't make sense character-wise unless something really bad happens, like Iron Man 2 kind of fallout kind of stuff happens. Then he's going to be on. At the end of Avengers 2, he's still very much Tony Stark's friend. Yeah, I think that unless something really big happens, he has to be on Tony's side, no matter what.
Yeah, I think he'll be on. Now that I think of Tony's side, and just Steve Rogers' best friend Falcon will be definitely with Captain America.
Yes,
so
Falcon will be on Captain America's side. I think there's going to be that War Machine might actually create a little bit of a split because he does have allegiances to both Cap and Tony, so it might be a bit of contention there. But based on the synopsis for Captain America Civil War, I think this is just theoretical. This is not giving anything away, but theoretically, or potentially, War Machine will be involved in some kind of something bad really bad might happen at the beginning of Captain America Civil War that War Machine is partly responsible for, based on the synopsis of Captain America Civil War. So I think that will really change the dynamic of the relationships that he has. Enough talking about War Machine. Ant-Man is the one I'm interested in. Is Ant-Man going to actually have a side? Is Ant-Man going to be like in the conflict, or is he just as bystander?
Maybe there's a middle. Maybe we have Team Spider-Man in the middle.
Maybe we do have a team in the middle. Maybe we do. Maybe it's not so much so easy as team versus team. And I feel like that's been done before. I feel like it could be more complex than that. Civil War to actually have everybody having their own opinion on this kind of thing. And
but you definitely know the marketing. Marvel's going to market it that way.
Yeah, but Cap's obviously going to have his dedicated supporters behind his back, like Falcon.
Scarlet
who else?
Be on his side.
Scarlet Witch.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think?
Yeah,
Black Widow.
Still
Black Widow would be on Cap.
Well, spoilers for Avengers. So mute the video if you haven't seen Avengers yet. The second one. We do know Scarlet Witch has a sort of bit of feud with Tony Stark, with her, with her family and all that.
Yes, that's true. Yes, so that's a good point. Scarlet Witch. I feel like nearly everybody's going to be on Cap's side. There's not many people left for poor Tony. So Ant-Man might be on Tony's side. Because when you think about it, the plot of Ant-Man, the trailers seem to build up this kind of idea of disillusionment with the world of superheroes. Hank Pym, who Michael Douglas plays, doesn't like superheroing anymore and stuff like that. He used to be a superhero. So I feel like there could be some dynamic in that something bad happens with Ant-Man and he doesn't like the life of the superhero. Something bad happens and he doesn't want to be Ant-Man or something anymore. So kind of like what Tony Stark went through. So he'll have something to side with Tony Stark for. So maybe he'll be there.
Vision could be with Tony Stark, but then again, Vision could be in the middle as well.
I think Vision's going to be in the middle. I don't think Vision could take sides. I don't think Vision would. If Tony Stark is pro-registration, I don't think Vision would ever be pro-government. But then I don't think he'd be against Tony Stark either. I think he would be in the middle. He'd be the mediator or the onlooker, trying to calm everybody down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what do you think about Spider-Man and Black Panther? Where do you think they'll go?
So it's a very small role. Because he's got to really be introduced. He might even have a cameo. He's probably not going to be in it, but Black Panther is going to have a substantial role. I think he's probably going to have the third largest role after Cap and Tony. I think Black Panther will be the one that almost resolves the conflict between the two. Mm-hmm. So I think that he's going with, but then he'll see Cap's perspective, perhaps.
Yeah, so we definitely think Black Panther will be in the middle. And from the press conference last year, sort of sound like he didn't want to get in between both of them. So
yeah, that's the way that was. But it's really, really speculative at the moment, and it'll be really interesting to see what happens because we're probably completely wrong.
Yeah, completely wrong. More likely. But it would be it'll be interesting to see what happens. So can't wait for Civil War.
Yeah.
Our last question, with early reviews being almost unanimously positive for Mad Max Fury Road, how does the Australian film industry capitalize on its success? And do you think this could help in the revival of the Australian New Wave?
Whew. Wow, that's a deep question. That's Australian film's not done that great. Like as a whole,
lately.
Sometimes you have a breakthrough or two of Australian film, and Australian actors and directors go on to do great things, but actual films made in Australia aren't very well received internationally. They do well in Australia, but then they don't go very far elsewhere.
I would say we had some sort of wave in the 80s and 90s. I mean, we had the Crocodile Dundee. Both those films were successful. Babe was very successful as well.
And the original Mad Maxes, I guess, as well.
Yeah, the Mad Maxes, they did pretty well as well. So I would say back in the 80s and 90s, we had a lot of successes for Australian films.
Yeah, I feel like the connection between Australia and Mad Max has been lost in the Mad Max Fury Road, in Mad Max Fury Road's advertising and Mad Max Fury Road's just its general tone. Tom Hardy's not an Australian. Unless, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure he's not Australian.
Yeah, the lead three actors that they marketed are Charlize Theron, Tom Hardy, and Nicholas Hoult aren't Australian.
Yeah. None Australian.
It's the side characters that are.
I don't think that it will have much of an impact, to be honest. I just feel like it's going to have, as good a film as it might be, and as great reviews as it might be getting, I just feel like it doesn't have that connection anymore. I don't think it's not like The Hobbit that New Zealand can capitalize on. It's what will be something Australia can capitalize on in a few years is the fifth Pirates of the Caribbean movie, because it's filmed here. So,
but then that doesn't really sound like it's an Australian property. So I feel like Mad Max is. So.
Mad Max is an Australian property thing would give Pirates of the Caribbean more tourism, like kind of it would affect. It affects the Australian film industry more because actors and like people get brought out into the light a bit more but through these American productions in Australia. Does that make sense?
Yeah, we've had heaps of American. Yeah. We had The Matrix.
We've got famous Australians in America making Australian movies. So when Russell Crowe makes The Water Diviner, it's an Australian movie. Russell Crowe is famous in America. It does add a little bit more to the success of Australian films overseas. So I think that's the step. It's not let's make an Australian film and let's make it successful. It's let's make an Australian actor or director successful and then let him make an Australian film. The path to success in that regard.
I feel like Australian films, depending on how well they do, they can be successful. I mean, the Water Diviner and even that Paper Planes film did really well in Australia. Yeah. I don't think they do that well overseas, though.
No. Well, obviously, Water Diviner had a very specific to Australia subject, but with Gallipoli, it was about Gallipoli. But but I'm just saying, it's just an example. Like Russell Crowe making an Australian sci-fi movie, that's such a weird concept to me. But if he made an Australian sci-fi movie that was kind of universal in subject matter and theme, it would perhaps have that. It would make more money than a generic, a new director, debut director, sci-fi film in Australia. Mad Max is kind of sci-fi, isn't it? Sci-fi action.
It's more action.
In an alternate world.
Yeah, but anyway, I guess it's more action, fantasy sort of, not sci-fi.
Fantasy probably. Fantasy is probably more. But fantasy conveys dragons and elves and wizards, and that's weird. Dragons and elves and wizards riding motorbikes through the desert. Vroom.
It was sci-fi that we riding like spaceship sort of things.
Spaceships. Oh, dragons and elves riding spaceships through the desert. Yes. Genre mashup. Anyway.
I think Mad Max Fury Road is obviously going to be successful in America and in Australia as well.
Yeah, it's going to be very successful in Australia. But I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, it's not going to have, it's not going to create a whole new wave. It's going to be like a one-off. It's going to be like Happy Feet. Happy Feet did extremely well in America and Australia and worldwide. And I think it's just going to be like that.
Yeah.
Take The Great Gatsby, for example. We had an Australian director, but all of its main actors weren't Australian. But it was filmed in Australia. So I guess that can be sort of compared to Mad Max, The Great Gatsby.
Yeah, perhaps, but I think that Baz Luhrmann's films do good things for Australian film, even though even though they're not. It's not a huge thing in America, but in Australia, it does really boost, like confidence in the Australian film industry. I think.
Yeah. And I also think if they want to capitalize on this success, they should probably make films like Mad Max. They need to have sort of like a big blockbuster sort of feel. I mean, yes, we can have some
capitalize on this by making films like Mad Max. I agree with you. Films like Mad Max with an Australian slant. You know, take it back to the original Mad Max. Take it back to the original and do a new kind of, like, obviously it's not Mad Max. It's not in the desert or whatever, but that kind of breakthrough. That's what Australian film needs. It needs another Mad Max.
Hmm.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, I would say that's about it. It's actually, yeah, we need sort of like a new Mad Max, because Mad Max is like associated to Australia. We need something like that. Like UK's got like Harry Potter, James Bond, and that's
yeah,
how
exactly.
they've done.
That's what we need. We need more of those because they're all being stolen.
We need more global brands that were
Yeah.
originating in Australia.
Global brands. New Zealand's got The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. Anyway, you better move on.
And last thing, weekend box office. At number 5, we have Paul Blart Mall Cop 2 with $3.6 million for a total of $63 million. At number 4, we have Hot Pursuit with $5.7 million for a total of $23.5 million. At number 3, Avengers Age of Ultron with $38.8 million for a total of $372 million. At number 2, Mad Max Fury Road with $44.4 million. And at number 1, Pitch Perfect 2 with $70.3 million. Wow.
I know, what a surprise. Pitch Perfect 2 did well. I never expected that.
Yeah, why did I change my mind? I should have said yes, it's going to have the jump street success. It's going to go over 60 million in its opening weekend. Why did I change my mind last week?
You did say that, didn't you? You said that it could have jump street success.
Yeah, I still have Jump Street, the sequel, but I didn't say it was going to be like as successful as 22 Jump Street did with 59 million or something like that. So
it did better.
Yeah, it did better. I thought it was going to be about 40 million. So, and the fact that it is 5 million over the first film's final run in just 3 days is pretty impressive. Because the first one made 65 million overall in America.
Wow, that is incredible, isn't it? That just goes to show what effect a cult movie can have, like a cult following can have on a movie's success.
Yeah. And yes, and it's very similar to Austin Powers. The first one wasn't that big of a success. It made like 60 million, but then the sequel made double that amount. It made 73 million its opening weekend. So I think Pitch Perfect is following the Austin Powers route.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see how much legs it has. I expect quite a steady drop. Well, not a steady drop, but a medium drop next week.
Medium drop. I think it might drop, but maybe a lot.
I don't think it's gonna drop too hard.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, that's another discussion for next week. Other than that, Mad Max did very well. Well done, Mad Max, and it's getting great reviews as well. So,
we'll see if it has any long legs, which I think it will. So it is a really good film. So I think that it would have some long legs. So I hope it's got
Mad Max.
Yeah, Mad Max.
Yeah, I think that it will have long legs because of the great critical reception. Even if audiences haven't been as responsive to it, but I don't think that the cinema scores or any of that sort of stuff actually has much impact on a film's overall gross. I think Rotten Tomatoes scores have a much bigger impact.
It'll make 100 million. It'll make 100 million for sure.
Yeah, easily.
But it depends. The word of mouth, it can get
do well overseas too. Anyway.
And Paul Blart.
Yeah. Well done, Paul Blart.
I'm so surprised how long Paul Blart's been in the top 5.
What's it still on 0%?
I think it's like 2 or 3 now. I think it's gone up a bit. Quickly, the box office milestone, we might as well acknowledge this. Avengers Age of Ultron has become the 21st film to join the $1 billion club with a current total of $1.142 billion. This makes it the 3rd film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe to rake in more than $1 billion, the others being the Avengers and Iron Man 3. This also means that the Marvel Cinematic Universe is the first franchise in history to have 3 films grossing over $1 billion, beating Pirates of the Caribbean, Transformers, and the last 2 Dark Knight films. And you can save The Lord of the Rings and Hobbit if you combine them as one franchise as well. And this is also Disney's $8 billion film, making it the only studio to have more than 6 films in the $1 billion club.
Interesting. That's a lot of milestones.
Yeah, it's a lot of milestones.
I feel like Avengers: Age of Ultron is this thing's a machine. It's still going. Like, I don't know. In America, it might not have done as well as the first one. It's going gangbusters, and I feel like it's just going to soar right past everything except maybe. It should easily be able to soar past Deathly Hallows, I think.
I think it could get the Avengers. I think I read that it was. I think I read China in just 6 days is 164 million already.
Yes, I did read that. I read that too. Yeah, so it's the second. It's got the second highest opening weekend for China ever after Furious 7. So it's Furious 7. It's really a competition. Really, it will get really close, I think.
And we still have Japan on the way as well.
Japan, but yeah, it's been nearly a month now for half the territories. So it will be starting to run out of steam now. Furious 7's pretty much run out of steam. It's been out longer, and it just has another 300 million to catch up on it. So it's going to be close. It's going to be close.
Very close, that's for sure. And quickly, our box office predictions. We both tied last week with 1 out of 5, and that was only Hot Pursuit. So that was the only one we guessed right. So that means your total, Nick, at the moment is 12, and my total is 11. So your week to start off first. What do you think the box office for next weekend will be?
So next week, 2 new movies come out, open wide: Tomorrowland and Poltergeist. Poltergeist is a horror film. Tomorrowland, the original Brad Bird sci-fi film. I think Tomorrowland will be number 1, followed by Pitch Perfect 2, just dropping 1 spot. Mad Max will... Oh, no. Poltergeist in 3rd, then Mad Max, and Avengers 2 in 5th. That's what I think.
Okay. I think number 1 is definitely Tomorrowland. I think that's becoming now a lock for number 1. Number 2, I've got Poltergeist, only because horror movies can generally get over 20 million even without much marketing towards it, because a lot of horror fans support it. And I feel like Poltergeist has been marketed heavily, so I think it has at least 30. It can potentially get over 30 million. So that's why I think number 2 will go. Number 3, Mad Max. I think we could probably get maybe 28 to 30 million next weekend. Number 4, Pitch Perfect 2. I think it will drop to maybe in the 20s, maybe 26 million. It'll be close between Mad Max. Just because it's very front-loaded, just by judging the first film's box office total. I think a lot of people have become fans of Pitch Perfect, so they've supported that film in the first weekend. And number 5, Avengers: Age of Ultron. So I think the Pitch Perfect 2 will hold much better. I've got it in 2nd, so I think it will hold to in the 30s, I think, and then Mad Max maybe 25. Mad Max after Poltergeist. Poltergeist probably about 30. Mad Max about 25 to 20 to 25, and then Avengers 2, whatever. It'll be in the teens.
It'll be around 20 as well. Yeah, it'll be 20. It's 20 max.
Yeah, it's definitely better than Hot Pursuit and Paul Blart, that's for sure. So that's definitely a lock for number 5 at least. So.
Well, that's what we said last week.
Okay, well, we've made some very, very, I think, risky predictions on the part. So it'll be interesting to see how next weekend.
Probably the most different we've been for a long time. It's
definitely. Well, that's it for this week's Talking Film. If you like us on Facebook at facebook.com/everythingfilm for your latest reviews and news. And you can also post questions if we have another slow news week, which I'm hoping we don't, because I really want to talk more about movie news.
Right now, really slow, so hopefully this week's going to be great.
Yeah, hoping. So that's all. Tune in next Monday for next week on movie news.
All right.
Until next time.
Until next time.